everybody, welcome back to another edition of the BH Sales Kennel Kelp Holistic Healing Hour with your host and moderator, me, Grandpa Bill. Welcome, one and all. Some of you actually, via invitation, were applicable. My two church mice, Peter and Paul, each and every day for a really long time. We do two audio shows now in our sixth straight year, each and every day. We'll reference those later. My YouTube channel, I do want to reference here. Bill Holt at Bill Holt 8792. Please do like us, share us, give us that thumbs up. More importantly, where you're comfortable to do so, please do subscribe. And what that does is it just allows the humans on both sides of the algorithm to allow us to do like we're going to do with Tim Doyle. Welcoming back Tim Doyle. Tim, welcome. We're going to talk about subconscious and conscious today, and I believe immortality. And I'm going to let Tim take it away. We'll be here for about 45 minutes. And he and I will have some Q&A type of things. I want him to get right to the chase on this. It's such an important subject. Tim, welcome back.
Bill, thank you for the invitation. And it's always our pleasure, and I say our pleasure, the golden ones, because everything that comes through us is being channeled by the golden ones. And we are going to talk about the conscious, subconscious, and we're going to add the pineal gland, too. We're going to talk about the pineal gland.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we have to understand that the brain, our consciousness, is like a VCR recorder. Everything that the eyes and looks around, it's recording everything we see in every moment. It records it. And it records it and it puts it into our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is our solar plex in the third chakra, if you know your chakras, which is just above the navel. And that's our feeling body. And that's where our subconscious, all the things that goes into our subconscious mind goes there in that area down there. Now, what the conscious mind does, it records everything it sees, and it's always looking for truth and wisdom. And if it's a true, then it files that into the subconscious mind. So, for an example, and it comes back as a memory. For an example, if 7 times 7, Bill, what's 7 times 7?
49.
You didn't even have to think about it, did you? It just.
No, I wrote it down. I wrote it down beforehand. I tease everybody. I did know that one, but let's move on before I forget. I tease a little bit. 49.
What's 5 times 5?
25.
All right, see, you don't even have to think because that information is in the subconscious mind, and you just pull it up because it's a memory. It's a conditioned memory, like typing on a typewriter. You don't consciously think about where your keys are. It just goes because it's a conditioned memory, and that goes into our subconscious mind. Now, if I said, Bill, what did you have for breakfast today?
Actually, because it was just a couple of moments ago, I had a very small, not even half of a grapefruit in my water.
Okay, I'll tell you what. What did you have for dinner last night?
Last night, I had beans and rice.
All right, now, Bill, for you to tell me you had beans and rice, you had to visualize beans and rice.
I did.
Right, because what happens is and that's the pineal gland. The pineal gland will call back a memory, a recorded memory from the subconscious mind, because it's not a conditioned memory. It's just a memory, a recorded memory. So the pineal gland has to record that up, and it puts a memory in your mind's eye so that you can say, that I had beans and rice. And if I asked you any other questions about where you were sitting, who you were sitting with, and so forth, you would pull that up and you would replay the recording that your conscious mind did earlier. So the conscious mind records everything you see. It validates truth. It will only validate truth. and put the truth in your subconscious mind. So if I tried to tell you that it will snow when it's 50 degrees out, that's not a truth. You wouldn't believe it, and you wouldn't file that in your subconscious mind. So the conscious mind only records truth and what it visualized, and it will record taste, smell, conditioned memories. Now, the conscious mind can be fooled on what a truth is. For an example, it used to be that the people back in around the 18th century believed that Earth was the center of the solar system, that all the planets revolved around Earth, and that to them was the truth, and they put it into their subconscious mind. And if you didn't believe that, then you were excommunicated from the Catholic Church, because that was a truth. Now, there's people that believe that sin, that you're born in sin, because that is a teachings by religious beliefs. There's teachings that women are not as equal to men. Those are teachings by different cultures and religious spiritual groups, religious groups, and so forth. So there's a lot of things that people believe that are not truth that go into the subconscious mind. Now, another thing that goes into the subconscious mind that passes the validation of the conscious mind is fear. So let's say that if you're swimming and you have a bad experience in swimming and you almost drowned, the soul will record that feeling of being afraid of water because they almost drowned. So that's how a fear gets into the subconscious mind. But your subconscious mind is like a VCR recorder, like a camera. You can go in and delete those feelings that are limiting you from feeling 100% about who you are. Just like you can delete a photo off your cell phone. You just go in, you identify the photo, you click on it, you say delete. We can do that with the same thing in your subconscious mind with the prayer to remove emotional parasites. It's a 15-second prayer, and you can delete that feeling at any time. Now, the point about that facet, that feeling, is feelings are parasites, and the parasite does not want to be removed, so it will stop the soul from deleting that feeling, saying that you don't need to delete this. You're probably never going to go near water, so the fear of water will not stop you, and so forth. So any fear you have, there's a parasite that's attached to that fear feeling to prevent the soul from vibrating at the highest frequency that they can vibrate at. In every cell of the DNA, in every cell of the body, in the DNA, you have amino acids in every cell. And when you're happy, those amino acids vibrate at a very high frequency, and the soul becomes like a vibrating magnetic frequency, telling the universe, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I feel good, I'm love, I'm compassion, I'm everything. And when a soul is in that state of vibrating harmony, balance, order, and unity within themselves, of course, it's going to spread out, their aura is going to spread out to the people around them. So the universal law of creation will bless that soul by giving them knowing that what their dreams and desires are, and will allow for those dreams and desires to become a reality in the soul's life. Now, that's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind, all it does, it holds everything that the conscious mind sends to it. But also what's in the subconscious mind is the soul's light body. Now, the light body is, each soul is created in the image and likeness of God, and all God's characteristics are in the soul's light body. Now, they're in their immature form. It's like a baby being born. Initially, the baby doesn't know how to crawl, how to cry, how to speak, how to walk. All it knows is how to drink, basically is how it drinks. And it grows into a physical being. We here on earth are learning to grow into the spiritual being we are. So all within our subconscious mind, we have all these God characteristics, but they're in their immature state of being, which means they're raw emotions. So the responsibility of the soul is to discipline and master these raw emotions and convert them into God feelings. And that takes time. So, but eventually, once the soul, and this is where we'll talk about going into longevity, and is that once the soul masters all their God characteristics, and they're in alignment with the universal law of harmony, balance, order, and unity, with there's peace, love, compassion, and a oneness for the good of all, then the soul reaches the point where they can ascend from this earth spiritual training school. And the only person we know that has done that previously was Jesus. All right. So Jesus was the example of what we can do. However, people have made that Jesus is the only Son of God. Well, this is not true. All right. There's no such thing as sin. There's no such thing as being born in sin. You don't commit sin. What you commit are karmic acts. When you abuse someone else, you're basically creating a karmic act where the universal law of cause and effect will create a karmic act life experience for you to know how it feels when you abuse another, then someone will abuse you. So eventually, this is how a soul, we're all God beings here on earth. This is how each soul learns to master their immature, emotional God characteristics within them based on the universal law of cause and effect. What you do to another will be done unto you. So eventually, the soul learns that if they steal from someone else, someone will steal from them. If they abuse someone else, someone will abuse them. If you lie to someone else, someone will lie to you. So the soul is constantly being conditioned by the universal law of cause and effect. Now, eventually, the soul becomes wise enough to know, all right, I need to be a good person. I need to not abuse anyone else. But what they don't understand is who they are. They don't realize that they are a God created in the image and likeness of God. And they have this ability to master their reality. And that is another role of the pineal gland. So we know that the conscious mind records everything, and it will focus in. When the conscious mind wants to know something, it's recording, but then it will focus in like, well, how does this work? And so it will study a process like what's in water, how does a bird fly? It starts triggering the conscious mind to contemplate, how does this work? Well, the thing is, I won't ask you, I'll tell you. Where do thoughts come from? Where do thoughts come from? How has man developed rockets and cell phones and telephones and build buildings and know how to make cement and create everything? Everything in this earth, three-dimensional world here is first created in the mind as a thought. It has to be in a thought for it to become a reality. We think about, let's say that people used to eat with their hands and their hands are dirty and they don't want to put their hands in the mouth. So they think, wow, what can I get to put the food in my mouth without using my hands? Well, they come up with chopsticks. They come up with a spoon. They come up with a fork. They might come up with a stick. So where do those ideas come from? We know that to get on your computer needs to have access to the internet. But there's an internet, it's the universal internet, and everyone is attached to this universal internet. And all answers and development to creations are in this universal internet, which I call universal mind, and everyone is attached to it, but they don't realize they're attached to it. So if you have a challenge in your life, or if you have a problem, or if you don't know how to do something, all you have to do is stop and put the thought in your mind, how do I overcome this challenge? How do I meet this responsibility? I've got this situation. What do I have to do? All they have to do is ask and wait. The answer will come to them in their mind. This is part of the purpose of the pineal gland, is to visualize. Let's say if you're redecorating your home and you're saying, oh, what color should I paint this room? Should I paint it red? And you visualize red. No, red's not going to look good. Should I paint it blue? What color curtains should I put on the wall? You use your pineal gland to visualize what it is you want to create, whether it's home decorating, whether it's what you're going to eat for breakfast, where if you're going to search for a job, where should I work? Should I work for this company? And you visualize the boss there. Should I work for this company? And you visualize the boss there. And you start going back and forth. What should I do? But we have feelings. In our solar plexus, we have feelings. Our feelings are connected to the heart of God. Our logic is connected to the mind of God. So when we think we're going to make a decision on what we want to do, we need to feel in to say, is this the right thing I should do? Should I go this one? Should I go this one? And trust your feelings. Your feelings are connected to the heart of God, and your feelings are always correct. So trust your feelings. So,
Did you want to wait just a second to bridge into immortality, which we definitely want to do? But I think this is a perfect bridge, if you will. Fortunately, and thank you everybody, we're getting a little bit more faction, pardon my voice today too, of my listening audience from my other shows. Case in point, pineal gland, pineal, you know how I call everything. But we do talk about that quite a bit. First of all, at our guided weekly meditation, for those that are here from that faction and that are familiar with that arena, thank you for being here. And we talk about so many things that we've talked about since I've known you, now over who knows how many shows, with or without interference. Inside joke there. Tim and I have attempted to do many shows, but we've actually completed several too. So we've talked about a lot of these things within the construct of the path to oneness and the golden ones. And at this time, with the different people coming in, if this is starting to sound a little bit familiar, oh yeah, we talked about that, please interchange that with me and let me know that, and we'll convey that to Tim too. It's a wonderful thing to know. So yeah, Tim, when you're ready to go to immortality, I just wanted to sneak that part in.
okay. Now, Bill, our solar system is in the Milky Way galaxy, And in the Milky Way galaxy, we are one of over 400 billion stars from the Milky Way galaxy. There are over 400 billion galaxies in this universe. So there's life throughout the universe. Now, people will say, well, if there's life in other planets, how come we don't see them, they don't visit us, and so forth and so forth? First of all, this is an Earth spiritual training school. We're like children, immature children in a nursery school. And so what ascended master, what co-creator God wants to waste their energy to come and visit immature souls in a nursery school, and for what reason? For what? Why? So they can't. There's a space force called the Galactic Council and the Ashtar Command. They patrol and guard this planet from not allowing negative extraterrestrials from coming here and disrupting life on this planet. Now, of course, we have in the past created nuclear weapons, and that is now not on the list. We were told by other extraterrestrials that if you go in space, you cannot bring weapons. Several times, our military tried to put a nuclear weapon in space, and the launch of that satellite never got into space. It got abandoned. All right. So when United States set off a nuclear blast back in the 40s, it disrupted the travel out in space. It sent a vibration into space that disrupted travel for other extraterrestrials to navigate through space. So we were warned, I say we, the Earth was warned not to do that again, and they will shut it down. There will never be another nuclear war on this planet. There won't be. They can have weapons, and they can say what they're going to do, but those nuclear weapons will never be set off. In fact, I think it was the late 90s or the early 2000s, when an UFO over Colorado shut down the missile site in Colorado and demonstrated that they can and have control over all nuclear launch areas and so forth. So, but the people in charge of Earth, Earth, in our solar system orbits the galactic center. It takes 25,920 years, astrology years, to go around the galactic center of the Milky Way galaxy. But the Milky Way galaxy is moving through space, and when it moves through space, it goes through different dimensions. Prior to, we'll just say 11,000 years ago, women were in charge of the energy on Earth here. Why women were in charge? Women are connected to the heart of a God. They have feelings. Their feminine characteristics are compassion, nurturing, caring, intuitiveness, artistic, musical, and so forth. They're in tune to the heart of God. Women were in charge of governing over 11,000 years ago because they care for the people. It is the man's role to use the logic from his mind, being connected to the mind of God, to assist the female in implementing her ideas. She would say, we need a food program. We need to store food for the future. And she says, how do we do it? And then the male would say, okay, what we have to do, we'll go to the farmers and we'll collect food and we'll store it and so forth and so forth. So the female has the ideas, and it's the male needs to support her and implement the ideas. Now this works now in a marriage, business partnership, any relationship. The women need to be as much in charge with if the female is in a spiritual state of being and not radical, and she's grounded with her knowingness of intuition and so forth, needs to advise her husband what they should do for the happiness of the family in the future. And it's up for the male to implement their ideas. Now, they can talk him back, and then she can say, hey, let's do this. And he can say, well, what about this? And she'll go, well, maybe that. How about this? And they'll go back and forth. But it's a joint heart and mind collaboration to bring out the future for a business, for a family, for a relationship. Now,
real quick, Tim. Sorry for talking over.
No, that's okay, Bill.
Tim and I talked about the business element of it, I don't know, 3-4 shows ago. It's so important in life, in every facet of that, including business. And I don't want to get too sidetracked, but just think about that. Those of you that are out there in those types of circumstances, wherever that may apply, those can be tenuous situations on a business side of life. And there's other considerations to make accordingly because of that. And it's so true. I wanted to just interject. I've done so many shows about women in business, and there's one that had just flashed into my brain from like 45 years ago. She definitely was connected. And that's so key in life and in business, to fulfill the role of the female as it's projected in us to do the same. So thank you, Tim, and continue. I'm sorry to break your timing.
No, that's okay, Bill, because what it is that all females are connected to the heart of God, and all females are connected to the mind of God, and the same for the male. All males are connected to the mind of God, and all males are connected to the heart of God. But in a male, it may be a 70-30 connection of mind to feelings, and in a woman, it would be like 80-20 feelings to logic.
That's a fair assessment, because it's true. If we both raise our hands, female and male, that's so true. Continue.
Yeah. So that happened 11,000 years ago. Now, Earth moved into a third dimension reality about 11,000 years ago, which is a lower vibration. And at that point in time, men thought they could govern better than women. And so the third dimension is ego, greed, power. And so the men took over the planet, and they start conquering nations and subjugating women to be their servants and fulfill their sensual desires and so forth, and put women to a second class. Now, this has happened for the past 11,000 years until 21 December 2012, when our solar system moved back into the fifth dimension reality, vibrational reality. Now, everyone on the planet is vibrating in a vibration of love, compassion, and oneness and peace. And eventually, we're in the golden age, but we're in the beginning of the golden age. Now, we don't have to die. And this is getting into mortality. We don't have to die. As long as the only reason why there's death is because someone is creating too much karmic in their life that the teachers say, okay, this person has to come out. It's time to terminate this carnation. They're creating too much karma and so forth. So death is a reason to like change genders, change the soul's always learning. He has to learn how to master each gender, each religion, each culture, each sense of responsibility. Is he a parent? Is he a single parent? Is he a business owner? Is he a dictator? Is he a ruler? Is he a president? So the soul has to learn and experience, have many life experiences and all different life realities so that he can learn to master the wisdom of those responsibilities and at the same time discipline and master the immature emotional God characteristics within him. Now, when the soul, we're in the golden age now. So when a soul embraces that they are here as a co-creator God, learning to master their God characteristics and to vibrate in a consciousness of peace, love, harmony, and balance for the good of all and the oneness of creation, there's no reason to die. There's no reason to die. Life can go on. You'll probably, life, I'm told that you probably, after 1,000 or 1,500 years, the soul will want to move on to another experience. All right, they'll get tired of it here, and they'll have a conversation with their spiritual teachers. And I got this offered one time in a sleep state, Bill. Maybe it was about 6 months ago. I was in a sleep state, and there was a tall spiritual being in front of me, and he says, "You don't have to go back. Do you want to go back?" And I looked and says, "Yes, of course I want to go back." And it was only like a split vision in my dream state. I've had many visitations in my dream state. This was just a very split 5-second experience. And I remember saying, of course I want to go back. I haven't finished what I wanted to do. So we're in the golden age. We don't have to die. If we embrace it, we are here as co-creator gods. And I mean, embrace it. Don't think, that seems kind of far-fetched and I don't know. But if you're a loving, peace-loving person, you want the well-being of everyone else, do unto others that you want done unto you, there's no reason to die. In fact, I will tell you this, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, I was on my way to church on Sunday, and I was standing outside, looking at creation, looking at the leaves and so forth, looking at the new leaves or the old leaves, and it was in the fall, the old leaves falling off the trees. And my teachers told me, they said, "You will never die." Now, this was 35 years ago. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's probably, you mean the spirit will never die. I know that and so forth. But Bill, now that I know after 35 years of what my teachers are teaching me and what I have experienced, there's no, I don't plan on dying. That's not in my consciousness to die. All right.
Correct.
I take very good care of my body, what I eat, what I think, and how I express myself. So I don't plan on dying. So
my first question, again, kidding around. When you get to the 1,500 year mark, do you think you'll want to go on to chapter 2 or whatever? And I mean that jokingly, but I mean it in reality too.
Well, I don't know. It's like I have questions, Bill. I have questions about how is a new soul created? Where does a new soul come from? And what happens to an animal when they die? I know that souls can be trapped here on Earth when they have free will and at the end of a life, they don't want to move on to the next level of soul development. So I know souls are trapped here, but are animals trapped here? Does an animal have the choice to stay? I don't, that's just some questions I have, because I do know there are trapped souls, but I don't know about trapped animals. So just things that I have that I'd like to know the answer. Plus, other things like what happens in spirit realm and so forth. So,
Correct.
uh,
Correct. And in that realm of 1,500 years extending out, I plan to be right there behind you, by the way, or with you. But over that span of whatever is in store for the planet over 1,500 years, it might be an interesting point in the road to just exactly to what you just said. And real quickly, for those of you that are coming into the shows archivally, Tim and I just talked again several shows ago about trap souls on the human side of the equation, which most definitely there are. And I concur with Tim. I'm not sure about animals as long as I've owned them, loved them, been part of it. I'm actually reaching out to Ariel, and we're getting there on trying to get a message on that vein. But Tim, I want you to wrap up it, but I want to make sure that you do finish on what you were going to finish up on immortality. Go ahead.
well, I think that the key is embracing that you are created in the image and likeness of God. We are co-creators here. We're learning to master these God characteristics within us. And once we master them and convert these raw emotions into God feelings, and that all our expressions, our thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony, balance, order, and unity with the universal law of creation, there's no reason to die, Bill. There's no reason to die. And I think, I think that when you reach a certain point, that sunlight or something from the sun will trigger something. We only use 10 to 15% of our brain. We only use a very small portion of our brain. So I think when we get to that point of brain in our consciousness where we're attempting to master these God characteristics, we're going to trigger something in our brain that's going to activate the cellular healing of the body. And I'm hearing this is true. This is true. So I don't know. That's just what I feel that will keep the body young, injuvenating, and so forth. They say in the past, thousands of years ago, that people would live to be 200 to 300 years. So I don't know, Bill. It will be maybe 100 years from now, you and I will have this conversation again.
And I always say when we end the show, and I'm going to ask you to end on the parasite prayer because I do think it's very, very important at this time. But before I do that, I always say at the end of the show, I hope you all will definitely be with us for 1,500 years. But I hope as though you don't get sick of either one of us. I kid a little bit. 1,500 years of shows. I'll be here all week. Okay, Tim, and with the parasite prayer.
Well, the parasite prayer is we have a fear. It could be an unhealthy feeling about ourselves. It could be an unhealthy feeling about another person. It could be that we have this feeling of being abused when we were little, sexually abused. We could have a fear of anything, heights, water, snakes, spiders, or anything. All these fears are in our subconscious mind. And so to get rid of these fears, you have to do it one by one. You have to call the fear up to your conscious mind. You have to feel the feeling. So if, let's see, I've used this prayer 1,000 times, so I'm trying to think of something that I could use. Let's say that I'm afraid of water. All right, I'm afraid of going swimming. I'm afraid of water. So what I have to do, you put your left hand on your solar plex above the navel and your right hand on your heart. What you're going to do is you're going to transfer that energy, that fear, from your third chakra, bring it up to your fifth chakra, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, your heart chakra. And to do that, you have to feel it and visualize. Let's say I want to get rid of this fear of water. So what I'll do is I'll pretend that someone's going to push me in the water. I raise the fear within myself. And then when I have that feeling in my conscious mind, I've activated that feeling. I say these words. Mother, Father, God, this feeling is not mine. This feeling does not belong to me. I release this feeling in love now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Instantaneously, that fear is released out of your subconscious mind and it's gone. It's like deleting a photo off your cell phone. It happens so fast, and you can say, oh, a lot of people say, well, I don't know whether it worked or not and so forth. And I just tell them, try and find the feeling. They can't find the feeling, all right? So anybody that has a feeling that they can't get rid of, contact me, and I'll work with them about how to do it. But what happens is they're parasite feelings. And so the parasite does not want that fear feeling to be released from me, because that's the life of the parasite. And the parasite believes that if I remove that fear off my body, that parasite will die. And so it will try to convince the soul that that you can't release this fear feeling. Tim Doyle is crazy. It doesn't work. Yada, 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 yada. But I have done this 1,000 times around the planet, and it works. And it works. It just works.
Okay, Tim, I think that's a great note to end it on. But as I always like to do, Golden Ones, any suggestions on what we should talk about next, or do we want to discover it and surprise everybody?
Let's see if anything comes to mind.
Okay.
Bill, nothing comes to mind. We can talk about.
That's awesome. Nope, that's awesome. Next time around, and real quickly before we sign off with Tim, and thank you so much, Tim. Basically, he's here somewhere in between the two lunar cycles, coin toss, but that's our goal. And we've done pretty well on having a number of shows now with little or not too much interference. So those things happen, and it's a perfect case in point. We get on the backside of everything. So, Tim, namaste, my friend, and many blessings, and thank you.
Namaste, Bill. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share the teachings of the Golden Ones with all our brothers and sisters.
And do reach out to Tim. I'll do an audio show about all the reasons and why for us that should be readily apparent. Next time, my friend, peace.
Much love, Bill. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See all the teachings of the Golden Ones at www.thepathtowoneness.com. Also at YouTube, Timothy Doyle, The Golden Ones. Visit us at Facebook and link it at The Path to Oneness.